Hi, I'm Trevor Williams with Global Atlanta, and we are here with Ambassador Reda Mansour of the Consul General of Israel to the Southeast. Mr. Mansour, thank you for taking your time to spend with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Israel celebrated its 60th birthday in May, is that correct?
Yes.
And I was wondering if you could kind of track, Israel's obviously a globalized economy, but I was wondering if you could track the history of that and how why Israel saw that as a necessity as it has grown as a nation.
Well, Israel is a very small country. I think few people realize that Israel is probably the size of some of the counties in the U.S. Out west. You hear the name so much in the news that you're sure that this is a vast country with a big nation. We have now 7 million people, and we're a young country, although it's an ancient people. I think very early on Israel understood that because of its dimension and because of its political and strategic situation in the region, we had to be open to the outside markets, and we have to work with the world economy, even before people started to speak about the international market. And so we created a lot of assets that made it obvious that Israel can be a globalized nation. And the major one, I would say, is really investing in the people and in the quality of our professionals, because we also don't have almost any other natural resource. So we knew that we have to do this investment. It turned out to be also that this is mostly what you need in a globalized economy.
So what did that look like as far as a broad policies nationally? How did you start to integrate? How did the country start to integrate itself into the global economy? What types of agreements and things like that were made?
I think that first of all, in Israel, the terms of import and export are very public and are daily terms. Basically, people follow that issue. They're interested of what the country is doing in terms of its export and import, and the need to balance these two and to export as much as possible. And so we have a lot of policies that were put in place to serve that. Later, you're right, we needed those agreements, and so Israel was one of the first countries to sign a free trade agreement with the United States, and was the first country in the world to have a dual free trade agreements, both with the US and with the European Union. As soon as NAFTA was launched, Israel also very quickly signed free trade agreements with Mexico and Canada as well. So we made sure that our economy is open to our biggest markets, and those are the European Union and the United States. And that made it much more easy for our companies to compete and to be present in these places.
And obviously our economy in the U.S., we have a lot larger of a domestic consumption market. So there's a lot more opportunity for companies that produce here to also sell here. But I was wondering what you think about the opposition that some have voiced in the U.S. towards free trade agreements that the U.S. has pending with other countries at this point. Can you give us a general view on free trade and what it would mean to the U.S. economy based on your experience?
I think we live in an era where we know what the future is going to be like. Countries and regions have to open up in order to survive. I think that the thing is to also understand that people have a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of also real needs in terms of protecting their communities and making sure that there is a fair trade as well. And so I think we shouldn't use the general notion that free markets are good for everybody and let's globalize everyone and expect every single person in every small town to immediately get it without any kind of attempt from our side to understand the needs of these people. So I think it is the true direction that we have to take in Israel and in the US, but also we shouldn't neglect the fear factor here and neglect the idea that people needs have to be addressed, and their concerns have to be addressed. And there's a lot of information work to be done to inform people and educate them, and try to work for agreements that will be fair and balanced. We still, unfortunately, are not where everybody in this game is playing a fair game. Some countries try to use always different kinds of agreements and barriers to protect themselves. Other countries open up spontaneously, and so we have to find the point of balance there.
All right. And how would you say Israel's integration into the world economy has affected the Southeast? You've been here for 2 years, and you said you visited 30 cities so far, pinpointing the places that you've been. How have you seen the impact of Israel's integration on the world stage trickle down toward the Southeast?
Well, we in the Council of Atlanta cover the 6 states of the Southeast, and so I get to travel a lot to my states and to be in many big cities and small towns. And I can tell you that you can see the effect of Israeli technology and know-how basically everywhere you look. It's something that starts in every cell phone that you hold. Some of the first cell phone technologies were developed in Israel. It later goes to every kind of new medical technologies that you look. And actually we are lucky here in Georgia to have among the 50 companies Israeli companies that are based in Atlanta, to have one of the amazing flagships of the Israeli technology, which is Given Imaging, the company that makes those pill cameras. And they managed to make this breakthrough, although much bigger companies around the world tried for years to create and produce a camera that is able to travel through your body, that you will swallow it as a pill. And it was impossible for years to do, and the breakthrough finally, like in other issues, came from Israel. And so in a lot of medical equipment you see the Israeli know-how, a lot of applications in the internet, a lot of the instant messaging started in Israel. ICQ, which is a company that became also an Israeli symbol because it was established by 4 20-something years old Israelis who Silicon Valley style, just graduated from university, rented a small apartment, and in a year managed to create a company that was sold for America Online for, I think, close to $500 million. And really managed to affect the whole culture of instant messaging on the internet. Israel is leading the world in terms of number of everything per capita to do with technology. If it's productions of new software, of CDs, of joint ventures, of startups, I think we, in ultimate numbers, we are the leading country in terms of startups, absolute numbers even, not per capita. We're the 2nd country in NASDAQ, traded in NASDAQ in terms of number of companies. We used to be 3rd after Canada for a few years. Now I think we surpassed Canada even. So as you can see, Israel, especially in the telecom field, is there. And here in the Southeast, you see it stretching from Atlanta, which is our major base as the biggest city in the region, to the smallest towns in the region. And in Yucca, Mississippi, they work in factories there on Israeli technology to produce some defense systems. In Huntsville, Alabama, they work there with Israeli technology and Israeli design and companies. You look at the Carolinas and you will find Israeli factories that were opened in rural places. So Israel is here and is taking part in a lot of the region's economic revival.